Today we're answering the age-old question,
Is
Water.
an instrument?
No, Patrick.
Water
Is not an instrument.
Recently, the lovely people at Playtronica sent me one of these. Now I might say, what kind of minimalist joystick are you using here? What is this? But this is actually a MIDI controller. As you can see, you can hold it like a controller. You can see that this is the way that you would hold it. And this is just a very special interactive way of playing your music. So today I'm going to be showing you a patch that I made specifically for this controller. And we're just going to have a little bit of fun and experimenting with it a little bit and show you all of the different things that it can do. Now, as I said, the people at Playtronica were nice enough to send me one of these controllers for free. They're also nice enough to send me a link, which is in the description, where you can get 10% off this controller yourself. So you can see here we are in the project. This is the patch that I've created. To be honest, sound design wise, there's not really much going on. We just have two sine waves FMing each other. In this case, I went with the little bit more tonal analog dB sine. And what I also did is I prepared the noise oscillator so that we can use it for modulation. What I like to do is I like to get a shape like this, which is not quite a square wave. And then you just drag this in here. Obviously make sure that you set it to key tracking so you can use it for the modulation. And then up it by 48 semitones. Now in the effects, this is where the magic happens. The phaser is responsible for most part of the sound here. We essentially have two modulations for it, both the noise oscillator. and the note value are going into the frequency here. You can also see that we have set feedback to 99%. This is very important for the character of the sound. But the most important thing that you can see here is that we're using the note value for the modulation. And that means what we really want is we want to stay on one note and then just use different notes to actually modulate the patch as opposed to play actual different pitches. To achieve that, in the global settings, we have turned off pitch tracking for both of the oscillators. And that means that we mainly have to tune them to the key that we want. In this case, I went for G sharp. And that means that we're essentially just changing the modulation as opposed to the actual pitch that is being played. A cool thing though is that mono, legato and always are taken into account. As you can hear, the modulation is sliding up and down. And that's actually very interesting as a modulation concept. It is not very easy to actually achieve that with any other kind of normal modulation. Especially because you can be very, very precise with the type of modulation that you apply here through the MIDI notes. Just by recording and playing MIDI notes, you can get the very precise modulation and you can even edit it afterwards if you really want to. Now I've quickly pointed the camera down at my desk so that you can see what's going on here. Unfortunately, this cable is not long enough to get it into view of my normal camera position. So I'm just going to play it for a little bit so that you can hear what the sound is going to sound like if you just play it through the Touch Me. Now you can imagine where you would use this is probably when creating one-shots. As you can hear, this particular sound has a very talking kind of nature. So in order to record that and actually get some one-shots out of this, let's actually record this. And now obviously you can add your delay and do whatever you want. Now, as you may have noticed from the last few clips, I do actually have a towel here, and that is just so that we can answer the question that we posed at the beginning of this video. So I'm going to get myself a little bit of water, and I'm going to get myself a connection cable. And this is, in my opinion, where the real interesting stuff is going to happen, because you can connect things to this here. You can see that I can add the connection cable to the pad here, and then I'll just put it in some water. Let's touch the other side. Nothing happens still, but as soon as I hit the water, you can hear that we get some very funny watery sounds, which obviously I sound designed so that it would be appropriate with the water that we have here. Now, water isn't the only thing that you can connect to. As you can see, there's other types of connections that you can make, and you can buy them as extras for this device here. And obviously there's a lot of other things that you can experiment with. As you can see from the image in here, you could play this as a two-person instrument where each of you is holding one of the pads and then you just touch hands or different parts of your body. So really what they're saying here with this image is that this could be a sex toy if you wanted to. Can you just imagine the sounds that you're going to get from that? Now, I hope you guys like that little demonstration that I did. It's a little bit of a different video than you might be used to from me. This is the first time for me that I really got this kind of like creative MIDI controller, and I do really enjoy it. It might be a little bit hard adapting it really into my workflow, but that's something that I also said from this Launch Control XL here. I recently did a video on that as well. This is more like your standard traditional kind of MIDI controller, and this is more for parameters rather than notes. But to be honest, this Novation MIDI controller has found its way into my workflow, so I'm sure that the Touch Me will also do so. Now, if you're interested in the Touch Me yourself, then as I said, there's a link in the description where you can buy one. If you're new here and you want to see more of what I do, make sure that you subscribe to the channel and also make sure that you like the video because that does really help the channel. But that's going to be it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed this one and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye bye.